On January 25th, 2026, a member of the Sandy Shores Police Department was involved in a fatal officer-involved shooting while responding to reports of shots fired. The reports of shots fired were reported to dispatch by other officers on an unrelated traffic stop. Upon arriving on scene of the shots fired report, the involved officer encountered an armed individual who refused to drop a weapon, which is when an officer-involved shooting incident occurred and the suspect was fatally wounded. Despite medical efforts by both law enforcement and EMS personnel, the suspect did die at the scene, and a firearm was recovered. Initially, a traffic stop was being conducted on a vehicle for speeding by members of the San Andreas State Patrol when they observed multiple sounds of gunshots being fired approximately a block away. Pictured here is a photo of the exact location where the SASP traffic stop was being conducted. The shots fired were believed to be occurring in the area of Zancudo Avenue and Mountain View Drive. An SSPD officer responded to the area, and upon arrival, he encountered a male subject armed with a semi-automatic handgun, actively discharging rounds. The SSPD officer immediately exited his patrol vehicle, drew his service weapon, and engaged the suspect with defensive shots. Additional law enforcement officers also arrived on the scene and also discharged defensive rounds at the suspect, who proceeded to flee onto private property. The suspect proceeded to flee into some thick brush where he took cover, and during this time, law enforcement officers gave several commands for him to come out and drop his weapon. During this time, due to fears that the suspect was actively plotting an ambush, the SSPD officer discharged several more rounds into the brush at the suspect. The suspect briefly emerged but went back behind the brush, during which additional rounds were fired by the SSPD officer. The suspect was struck multiple times and collapsed as he tried to flee away from the scene towards the fire station. A semi-automatic handgun was recovered from the brush, and the suspect was taken into custody and given medical attention. However, he died on the scene. No members of law enforcement were injured in this incident. Viewer discretion is advised, as this is footage from an active investigation into an officer-involved shooting which led to the death of a suspect. Immediately following this critical incident, the Sandy Shores Police Department called the Blaine County Sheriff's Office to conduct an independent review into this fatal officer-involved shooting. This is in accordance with San Andreas law that requires an outside law enforcement agency to conduct a use-of-force investigation as an outside source to prevent any potential bias or favoritism. The findings from the BCSO investigation will be turned over to the Blaine County District Attorney's Office, who will conduct an investigation to determine if the use of force was justified and within San Andreas state law. The District Attorney's Office will then determine if the Sandy Shores police officer and the Red Rock Reservation police officer were within the use of force guidelines of the state of San Andreas. Once completed with their investigation, the Blaine County District Attorney's Office will conduct a comprehensive report to determine on why they ruled the shooting was justified or if they deem it unjustified. In addition to the District Attorney's Office and Blaine County Sheriff's Office investigations, the Sandy Shores Police Department will conduct an internal review to determine if the officer was within policy and guidelines. This concludes this critical incident review by the Sandy Shores Police Department. Hopefully this answered any questions and/or concerns you may have had with this incident. Thank you for watching and have a good rest of your day.